Hey there, July 30th, 2023, Chum here. This video was recorded back in March, and I had intended it to be coming out in March. Unfortunately, Vegas decided to completely just conk out on me, and I wasn't able to edit anything for the past few months, trying to find another way. So, we got it working now, though. So, sorry for no videos for the past little bit. Okay, let's get to it. I'm back at it again with another licensed game. I figured I'd keep talking about these since I played quite a few of them when I was little, specifically on the GameCube and Wii. Today is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Though it isn't nearly as good as the Meet the Robinsons game, this one certainly holds its own. Released in 2006, it also came out on every system imaginable. Funny how licensed games do that. Here we're going to meet a typical developer of these sorts, THQ. We aren't going to worry about them just yet, but I'll keep an eye on them for now. I was intending on making this video a while ago, but since I had never watched the show, I figured I would watch it to get a good idea on the game. And yeah, it's great, but there isn't a crazy amount of reference to it in the game itself. It's a third-person action adventure with some RPG elements sprinkled in. The game took me about 8 hours to beat, but I could see it lasting about 10 with side quests completed. Similar to the Meet the Robinsons game, each area is split into a distinct level, each having its own plot, map, and side quests. The game uses the same voice actors as the show does, but it does reuse a few quips here and there. The amount of times that I've heard "all in a day's work for the Avatar" is enough to drive me mad. We begin in the Northern Water Tribe, and Aang certainly looks like something in these cutscenes. Maybe it's the 3D animation for everyone, but I don't really find anybody else to be as uncanny as Aang. Sokka has some nice facial animations, and everybody else seems to look okay. Anyway, the game plays as an angled top-down as you explore the level and complete quests. Each level has its own set of quests to do, as well as some extra treasures to find. These treasures are usually just armor or charms, which increase your stats. I never had an issue with either money or armor, so I guess it's there for people that need it. Probably children. A quest is usually just somebody telling you to go fetch something for them and exchanging either money or armor as a reward. Each level has this Momo side quest that you can do, and I hated it. It's not long or anything, but I just hated this filter. Anyways, we're told to go looking for this missing villager in the Water Tribe, and as we return to the village, it's attacked by the Fire Nation. We get Sokka into the party, and then Katara gets kidnapped by Zuko. The level ends with fighting this massive robot. I don't remember this being in the show.
Fire Nation! Things are getting more dangerous, Aang.
You're just now realizing this? Yeah, this game's plot is completely separate from the show, despite season 1 and 2 having been aired by the time it released. And that's about how each level is gonna roll. You're given a map with a typical story objective, side quests, and there's some combat along the way. Each level ends with a boss fight. We land on a beach as we're looking for Katara. The game introduces the stealth mechanic that I never used, and then we set off for her. Here I want to talk about a big problem with the combat system. Enemies have way too much hit stun. You could be wailing on somebody and after one hit, the next 5 seconds they're invincible. For this reason, I pretty much only ran Sokka in fights, since he has the highest direct damage out of anybody. Don't go thinking the stats and team building is very deep, as the game pretty much tells you what each party member is good at. Sokka just hits things really hard. We get into this Fire Nation camp and get a hold of disguises. With these we were able to enter the prison where Katara is. We find her and she's added to the party. She acts as a healer. Otherwise, we only use her for these quick time events that sometimes happen. The boss for this level is the Jailer. I like how he spams a single attack. I honestly had no clue how you're supposed to properly fight him. I just kinda kept smacking him and sometimes he gets stunned and takes more damage. Sokka has this enraged ability which further increases his damage, so I've been using that as a crutch. The Jailer is defeated and Sokka finds this map. There's an earthbending camp marked on it, so I guess we're gonna go check that out. We arrive at a forest and here we're introduced to some of the more common enemies in the game, these machines. These guys have unbelievable invul frames. Look at their health bar just not going down after hitting them. Here we find Haru and his dad, who were minor characters in the show. Haru joins our party since Toph wasn't introduced at this point when the show was airing, so I guess he's the best earthbender we got. Also, as we've been fighting enemies, we've been leveling up, which pretty much just gives you points to put into new abilities and whatnot. Again, don't go thinking there's too much depth to this RPG team building mechanic. We make our way to a grove in the forest and fight this big bear. This fight was dead easy. It pretty much just runs into a wall and then gets stunned and you hit it. But it was actually a test. Oh, of course. The spirit gives us his infinite wisdom that we're supposed to go to Omashu to figure out where these machines are coming from. For some reason, this Omashu level is the one that I remember the most from when I first played this game when I was little. I never even made it past this part, actually. Too tough for 10-year-old me, I guess. We get to King Boomy, and now we're off to this library. This guy's pissed about it, though. You have to go back and forth between this library a few times, and I like how you have to walk up this long spiral hill every time. Look at that view. Long story short, the Fire Nation shows up. Turns out we needed to go on the side quest just to get Boomy some lip balm, but he tells us that the island is hidden on this certain point on the map. The boss for this level is that salty earthbender guy from earlier. As we beat him, Zuko shows up for whatever reason. This is like the second time he's made an appearance in the game, and I feel like he has no reason to be in it. But I mean, whatever, Zuko's gonna hang out, I guess. We arrive at the hidden island, which has a bunch of machines on it. Turns out that this lady that we saved from the prison earlier is making the machines for war. She gives this big spiel about how the Avatar hasn't completed his training yet and how her machines will bring peace to the war. The boss is this big robot, but it just kind of flies around. The next level takes place at the Air Temple with this village outside of it. Shout out to the game crashing on this one side quest. We fix this part of a sanctuary, scrounge around some Fire Nation ship, and make it to the Air Sanctuary. We do a quick little puzzle and beat up some robots. If you haven't gotten the picture yet, a lot of this game is just go to a place and beat up robots. The boss of this level is, can you guess it? Big Robot. Again, he just shoots stuff and hang out sometimes. Here we go, the final level. It's at this underground fortress. Before we can find the rest of the party who got kidnapped by the previous boss, we gotta kill these crawlers that have really long invol frames again. We rescue the gang from this building, which I couldn't really figure out the design of. This mini-map doesn't help much. And we're making our way to the maker of the machines. Along the way, Zuko showed up one last time, but he fell into a river, much to my amusement.
So what part of the story does the game cover, Chum?
It doesn't. Like, it's like at a point...
It just doesn't.
It doesn't. It has a whole separate thing where it's like there's this like machine maker and she's supplying machines for the Fire Nation to use. But it takes place at a point in the story. Also, Zuko just fell into the river! Alright, big robot boss time. It's pretty easy. But it's a trick, of course. The real final boss is this ultimate robot meant to simulate the Avatar by using all 4 elements in its design, which we beat by going into this overpowered Avatar state. Just your typical high power finale to beat the final boss. Also, Sokka is exposed for being racist.
If Sokka really doesn't like benders... you're alright, I suppose.
And that's the end of the game. Yeah, once I got past the first 3 or 4 levels, I was kind of over it. Each level plays out the exact same way. You show up to it, talk to some main chief guy to get a main quest, and then do some side quests to level you up, maybe get some new gear, and then fight a boss. Each quest is pretty much the same, just being a fetch quest. Each level is also littered with enemies, which kind of sucks after a while since the combat is pretty bland. Like, this game definitely could have been about half as long. It's not horrible or anything, it just has some very tedious parts. But for a licensed kids game RPG, it does the job. With all that said and done, it wouldn't be a 2000s licensed game without some extras. I love this. There are trailers for the show and some other licensed games as well. There's also some concept art available for things like levels and character sketches, which are pretty cool. There's also this cheat code entry available, which I looked up gives you some typical cheats as well as unlocks an extra art gallery. Oh hey, there's an extra game trailer I missed. Barnyard! There's a licensed game for Barnyard? Oh,